Alright guys, so we're going to start on the order screen. Before I do that, there's just two changes that I want to make. So in the order actions, I actually forgot the slash here, so it should be orders/ID. I'm going to save that. And another thing is, in the order details reducer, I'm going to set the loading value initially to true, because I was running into some issues where it was trying to load the order before loading was true. So I'm going to set it as the default state to true, and that's order details reducer. So let's go into screens now, and let's create order screen.js. And I'm going to copy place order screen because it's very similar, except instead of all the stuff that's coming from the cart, it's going to come from the order from the database. So let's just copy that and paste that in, and let's change this to order screen, and up at the top here change this to order screen, and we want to bring in, instead of create order, we want get order details. And we don't need checkout steps, but we do need our loader, so I'm going to change that to loader. Okay, we don't need any of this cart stuff, we don't need any of these calculate prices. And I want to get the order ID. We don't need history, but I'm going to pass in match and create a variable here for our order ID and set that to our match.params.id. Okay, dispatch. Here we don't need anything from create, we want it from order details. So let's change this to order details, and make sure you don't click this or hit enter, because it'll fill this with get order details. You don't want that. That's our action. And from here we want to get the order, and we want to get loading and error. Okay, now in the use effect, let's get rid of all this. So in the use effect, we want to dispatch our action. So let's dispatch get order details. And we need to pass in the ID. Okay, and then we don't need this place order handler. We can get rid of that. And let's see, down in the output, we don't want the checkout steps. Actually, what I'm going to do is just cut this row, so this whole thing here. Let's copy that or cut it. And then I'm going to replace this whole return. I want to say if loading, then show our loader, else if there's an error, show our message, show the error, and then else. So else I want to have an empty fragment. Oops. And in that empty fragment, I'm going to put in H1, and I want to put the order, and then, or just order, and then the order ID. So order dot underscore ID. And then under that H1 is where I'll paste this row in. And then we're just going to go through this. So let's see, we're going to keep the column, the shipping stuff. Now instead of coming from the cart, this is all coming from the order, okay, that we're pulling in right here. When we dispatch get order details, it sends it down through the state, makes the fetch request and all that. And then this will be order payment method, and then down here this is going to be order items. Because remember, if we look back in Postman and we get the order, we have all this stuff here. We have order items, shipping address, all the prices and everything. So that's what we're getting here. We're gonna, well, this isn't looping through, this is checking the length. So I guess if this is true for some reason, we'll say order is empty. And then here is where we're looping through. So we want order.items, we're going to map through, and then for each item we'll go ahead and display. And then that for the prices down here, instead of cart, for these four, we want to change that to order. And we can get rid of this right here, this error, And then the button I'm also going to get rid of. Later on, we're going to add a PayPal button. We're also going to have a mark as delivered button for admins. So I think that should do it as far as showing the order. So I'm going to save this, and let's add this to app.js. So we'll copy this down, and we want order screen. And for the route, let's say order/:ID, and then order screen. Okay, let's check that out, and there we go. So order, we have the ID, we have the order items over here. Good. Actually, we don't have the price though. Let's see, why don't we have that? So that comes from order.itemsPrice, which isn't actually stored. I guess to get the items price, we'll just do what we did in the place order screen. Where's place order? Right here. So up in that where we did the calculations, we can do this. So order items, and then we'll do the reduce. So I'm going to copy these two here. And then in the order screen, let's go back up top. We'll go like right here. And instead of cart.itemsPrice, let's say order.itemsPrice. And we want to go through the order items. And let's save that. Cannot access order. So order right here is coming in here. So I'm trying to access it above it. So we want to just move that down after we actually get the order. And before we actually do this, let's make sure it's loaded. So we'll say if loading, if not loading, we'll take this, put this in here. There we go. So now we get the items price, and then we get the tax, and then we get the total. Now I'd like to add the user's name and email, because remember in the back end when we fetched the order by ID, we added that .populate user, and we added the name and email, so we should be able to fetch that. So let's go down to where we have our shipping, and we'll go right under the H2, and let's put in strong tags. And in here I'm going to put just name colon, and then outside of the strong tags we'll say order, and we should be able to do order.user and then .name because we did that populate. And then I want to have the email address, but I want to link with a mail to that email address. So let's say href and set that to some backticks, and in here we're going to say mail to colon, and then this is a template literal, so we need to put this syntax, and in here we'll do user dot not user, order dot user dot email, and then inside the a tags we'll put that same thing, order dot user dot email. So let's save that, and there we go. So we're able to get the name and the email. Actually, let's wrap a paragraph around these. So paragraph here and here. So we get name. Might as well put an email label as well. Here. Email. Okay, so then got the name, email, and the address. Good. Now we have the order in the database, but it's not paid. So if we look here, you can see is paid false. So we want to start to implement our PayPal button here so that the order can be paid. Actually, one more thing I want to do is show if it's paid or not and if it's delivered or not. So let's do that real quick before we do this. So I'm going to go down to where we have the payment method, which is right here. And let's see, list group item payment. Let's wrap this in a paragraph. These two lines here. Whoops. These two lines here, this method and this, I'm going to wrap that in a paragraph. And then underneath that, I want to check to see if order.is paid. So if it is paid, then I'm going to show a message. And let's give this message a variant of success. And here we'll say paid on. And we have access to order.paid@. Okay, so that's if it's paid, else. So we're going to go right here and say else. Then we'll have a message with a variant of danger. And we'll just say not paid. All right, so if I save that, we go back, we see not paid. Now let's do the same thing for delivered. We'll put that up here. So I'm going to actually copy what we just did, and then up where we have our address, we have this paragraph. We'll go right under that, and let's change this to, we'll change that, and that to delivered. So this is delivered. This is going to be lowercase though, so order.delivered@, and then if it's not, it'll say not delivered. So let's save that, go back. So we have not paid and not delivered. So in the next video, we'll go ahead and add our PayPal button. We need to create a PayPal API key. There's a couple things we need to do. We want to be able to work with the PayPal sandbox. So we'll get into all that in the next video.